Hello and welcome to this week's edition of Bronc Basketball Update. I'm Vanessa Mattis.
And I'm Joseph Theo. And I've got to say, it's good to be back from the Thanksgiving break. Sure, I'm a couple pounds heavier, but it was fun to hang out with family nonetheless.
Absolutely, Joseph. The only downside of my Thanksgiving was the Dallas Cowboys, but they bounced back nicely with that win against the Chicago Bears.
You know, they sure did. But as a Washington Redskins fan, I haven't had a good Sunday in a long time. But Vanessa, you know who did have a good Thanksgiving break was the Broncs.
That's right, Joseph. Both the men's and women's team are over 500 and both got big wins over the break.
Yes, they sure did. But the men's team did just drop a game against University of Houston, 72-58. But Dan Hipsher's unit sits at 4-3.
The Broncs got a big 78-60 win over the break against the University of North Dakota. They gave the team its fourth win for the season after their 3-0 start.
You know, a big reason for the Broncs' success is Janari Josar. He's an Estonian sophomore, a transfer from Ole Miss, and he's averaging over 18 points per game and really hitting the boards, getting 9 rebounds per game as well.
That's right. Well, let's take a look back at the team's last home game against Texas A&M Kingsville on the 22nd. It was a quality 82-77 victory for the Broncs, who had help from its pair of bigs, as Janari Josar put up 27 points, and junior Shaquille Hines shot a very impressive 66% clip, scoring 16. And here's guard Shaq Boga driving down the lane and dishing it to Josar for the three-pointer, and it's in. After a short field goal from the redshirt freshman guard Elijah Watson, here's Shaq Boga again driving it, but this time to the bucket for an easy lay-in. And that was enough for the 5-point UTPA win that gave the team its third win of the season. The next time the Broncs return to the field house will be on December 13th against Lamar University.
And as far as the women's team goes, they have had just as much success, if not more. Coach Larry Tidwell and the Broncs are undefeated at home, and they have a 6-4 record.
That's right, Joseph, and it's worth noting they've faced a really tough schedule. All 4 losses have come against ranked teams, including A&M, DePaul, University of Texas, and just yesterday against 11th ranked Baylor.
Well, let's take you back to their last home game against the Texas Lutheran Bulldogs on December 1st. The Broncs jumped to a 20-18 lead at the half and would score 43 in the second period to eventually prevail 71-47. And here's Tiandra Nolan driving on the fast break. She would have 7 points and 3 assists on the day. 11 of the 12 Broncs that got minutes in the game actually scored points, but it was number 3 Tanisha Walker and the Icelandic forward Hildur Borg who led the Broncs in scoring with 16 and 10 points respectively. And here's a quick bucket by Walker, followed by another fast break, ending with the Nolan score. It was a decisive 71-47 victory for the Broncs, whose next home game is this Saturday against Texas A&M Corpus Christi.
It's been a season of transition for the UTPA men's basketball team, with a lot of new faces from across the country and even the globe. Our own Tyler Zimmerman takes a look at 2 new additions from the country of Rwanda.
Sports rivalries are nothing new, but an interesting twist to a rivalry has landed a couple of former basketball foes on the same team right here at UTPA. Meet Dan Kamasa and Adonis Rabigwi. In a blink of an eye, these teammates from Rwanda went from fierce competitors to Bronc teammates.
We ended up even playing the state champion back home, and I beat him in the finals.
But going from rivals to teammates has helped make the transition to school easier.
If I need help, I can go to him. He needs help, he can come to me, so it's kind of really good. He forced me to use my weakness so I can get better in my weakness.
It may be a long way from Rwanda, but they've made this court their second home.
I'm trying to keep myself always busy doing something, you know, either doing classroom work or putting extra work in and on the court or in the classroom. So just trying to keep my mind busy. That's how I do it.
Dan Kamasa and Adonis Rabigwi now spend their time as teammates and friends. A university can change rivals into teammates and teammates into friends. For Bronc Country, I'm Tyler Zimmerman.
Before we end this week's edition of the Broncs Basketball Update, we are joined in studio by our basketball analyst, Dan Morales, who has the update on the upcoming Broncs matchups.
Now, both the women and men are in action on Saturday, but let's tackle the men's game first. They travel to Huntsville and play at 4:30. How do the Bearcats look this season?
Thanks for having me, guys. Now, like the Broncs, Sam Houston State started out 4-3, and they're coming off a close 3-point loss against Texas A&M at College Station. Now, the leaders for the Bearcats are senior guards Kaheem Ransom and DeMarcus Gallen, who are both averaging double digits in points. Now, Ransom can do it all. Play defense, facilitate, and clean up the boards. Now, the Broncs have to defend him well and take the ball out of his hands in order to get the win. Now, I'm optimistic for the game for UTPA. If they can match their firepower with their bigs and Shaq Hines and Janari Josar, they can really overpower Sam Houston and get that road victory.
Okay, and as far as the women's team goes, they will return this Saturday at 2 against Texas A&M Corpus Christi. Now, Dan, do you think the Broncs will be able to maintain their undefeated home record?
I think so. Now, Corpus Christi Islanders have started out the season 1-4, but don't let their record fool you. They've got a lot of talent, especially Shea Weaver, a guard from Arlington, Texas, who's transferred from Marshall that's been averaging 17.4 points a game. Now, if the Broncs can contain Weaver and match her offensive output with nice outings from Shantae Goff and Tiandria Nolan, they can get the home victory.
Well, thank you for joining us, Dan. That does it for this week's edition of the Bronc Basketball Update.
Be sure to tune in next week as we'll have you covered on the latest scores and stories on the season. For Bronc Basketball Update, I'm Joseph Theo.
And I'm Vanessa Modis. Until next time.